I mean, I wasn't really going to talk about mental health and psychiatry really today, but I guess I will a little bit, because yesterday I talked about, I'm going to do my little pinky. Yesterday I talked about identity and how important identity is, and how we get, like I said, we get stuck with these identities, or we get told that we have an identity, and in its purest form, it's essentially spellcasting. Being told that you have this diagnosis, and you will carry this diagnosis with you to your grave until you die and you're 6 feet under. You'll have this diagnosis of a mentally ill, whatever the mental illness is the highest form of spellcasting. And it gets reinforced time after time after time, that every time you open your medical documentation, or every time a doctor looks at your medical documentation, there's that diagnosis of who you are, and it tells them what you have, what your problems are. So that identity, and if you carry it around, and every time you go and you introduce yourself and you tell someone about your hardships or your problems, and you go, oh yeah, I have this diagnosis, this mental illness is what I have, you're just reinforcing it. You're embedding it even deeper into your identity. And I think you cannot do that. I never, ever, ever admit to the diagnosis that I have. I will never agree with it, and I will never, ever succumb to a negative diagnosis put on me that puts me in a category of a less capable human, or a person who is less capable of achieving, or who has these handicaps in life, because that's not the case. I may fit some of the definitions, or I may fit some of the actions, emotions that look like that diagnosis, but the actual word and the identity of it will never hold weight on me, and will never cast a shadow over who I am, because that's not who I am. And I think people in the world of mental health and mental illness need to recognize this message, that they are not, their identity of who they are as a human is not the diagnosis that they are given by a doctor. Their actions, their problems may look the same. That's fine. It's okay to admit that. But to admit the diagnosis, and then to carry that around as your whole life, and identify as, I'm not just Eric Guest, the human being, the regular human being capable of achieving and doing anything in this world, that nothing can stop me. No, I'm Eric Guest, the mentally ill, whatever, blank of the diagnosis that a doctor gave me. You cannot allow that to be pressured onto you or projected onto you. It cannot be the case, because it not only consciously are you then agreeing to it, but subconsciously you're allowing to be categorized into a lesser version of yourself, categorized into a problematic person who has these problems, and you're going to dwell on these problems, you're going to think of these problems, the people around you are going to, and this is why it's so troubling, and this is why it's so hard, and why this is going to be such a main mission of mine, to explain this to people and try to get people to recognize what's going on, and why their problems keep coming up, and why they feel depressed, and why they feel like they're not capable. Because not only is the doctor the one who reinforces their diagnosis and who they are, but those around them are then, they're so heavily influenced by that doctor. The doctors are put up on pedestals as the all-knowing. They know everything. They are the end-all be-all of knowledge and wisdom and of your health. So your family members and your friends hear what a doctor tells you what you are, and then they take that message as well, and they reinforce it as well. They are like the minions of the doctor that go and reinforce and drill in the diagnosis even more. So to be able to recognize that this is kind of, and yes, this is kind of like setting the stage that it's you against the world, or it's you against your family, friends, and a doctor, but in many cases, it is. It is, and I'm here to be the bearer of bad news. But the good news is that I'm on your side. that we together can figure this out, why this goes on in the world, and why the mentally ill, the people of mental health, are treated this way and are projected these images and these spell-casted diagnoses of being so problematic and being mentally ill and being handicapped. We as the team will figure this out and kind of go, okay, we see what's going on here. We see why we're being held down, why we're given these labels that tell us that we're not as capable to do things in this world. So breaking that identity and breaking that mold and never agreeing to it. Even an example I'll give is I sat in a room with a doctor the one day. I had obviously my psychiatrist, and they always have like student doctors in, whatever they're called. But he was in there and he was talking to me, and they use basic psychology tricks to try to. It's kind of funny, but they're like, explain some of your good qualities. Explain some of the best qualities you have, and it's just like a basic psychology trick. But anyways, this guy, he's doing his little stuff, and he's trying to get me. He's like, oh, what is your diagnosis? So even that, it's like getting you to recognize and getting you to admit what you are and bend to the system and bend to the diagnosis. And it's never going to happen. It is never going to happen. Over my dead body will I agree with these diagnoses and what the doctors tell me I am. I will tell them what I am. You can see what I am. I'm not going to succumb to a label that puts me in a box or puts me in a category of human being that has been portrayed as the lunatics and the crazies and the less capable throughout all of history. Are we those things? Maybe in our own right. Are we crazy? Are we different? Yes. Do we see the world differently? Do we feel emotions deeper? Yes, we do. Do we see and think the way that most people do? Us diagnosed mentally ill people? No, we probably don't see the world the same. But I don't think it's a negative thing that we do. I think it's an intuitive thing that we know there are many things wrong in the world, but we don't potentially know the best way of communicating, or we know that there are things wrong in our life, and intuitively we know that things are wrong in our life, in the world. And these emotions arise so strongly that it is then breaks the mold of what the normal human is and what a normal human looks like. So then we are then categorized and diagnosed and the finger pointed that this is what you are, to fit, to jam you into something, a belonging of what you should be in this world. And it will never happen. It will never happen.